Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul of Taurus. Is your sun, moon, or rising sign? This is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider hitting the subscribe button, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And the star, good place to start, right? This is profound intuition. This is deep insight into life. This is a feeling of like, I know what my North Star is. I know that principle in life that is guiding me to my future, right? The star card has two energetic phases. The first phase is we sort of open ourselves up to receive the light. The divine light, the light from God, goddess, deity, heaven, higher self, true self, guardian angel, spirit guides, whatever it is. We let the divine light in, the cosmic energy, whatever. We let it in. It starts to show us where our blockages are. It starts to show us our knots of karma. It starts to show us the things that we don't really want to look at, the things that ego doesn't want to look at, but that's what the light's doing. It's illuminating us internally. And once that process begins, that light can then shine out from us and spill out into the world, illuminating the world, but also illuminating the path, the special path that's meant for us. That's phase two, where the light comes out, right? So the star card is really the divine force in life that's trying to transform you into the best magician that you can become. Right? All of tarot is about the fool becoming the magician, realizing that we have some sort of control over who we are, what we do, and the life that we're creating. It's about taking a conscious control over where we're steering our ship. And we're letting spirit guide us, right? And the ego is the pilot. The ego is the one steering the ship, but spirit is the one that's guiding us. It's navigating us, right? So we're navigating by starlight here. Let's put this card into a little bit of context. This is such a wonderful way to begin. And you have the High Priestess. The High Priestess is the actual light coming from the star. Okay, as we know that, the moon, this is a card it's a card of the waxing moon, okay? We know that the moon is reflecting the light from the sun, from a star. This is the message itself. This is the source. This is the star shining the light. This is the light coming in. Okay, and it's coming in by way of your intuition. And let's keep going here. We have a 10 of Pentacles. Ooh, this is getting good. We have a 9 of Swords behind you. That's the only proper place for a 9 of Swords, right? If it's going to show up at all, let's have it be behind us already. Yeah. We have a Knight of Wands, and you've got a Prince of Pentacles. This is a Taurus superpower card. You have your very best self. This is the card that represents the Taurus energy in action. Okay, it's the builder. It's the one who is kind of steering the ship, doing the work, showing up every day and keeping the boat on course. Being guided by the intuition coming from your very own star, your true self. We have a 4 of Wands. We have a Tower. We have the Death card. And we have an 8 of Cups. Okay? And I think the 8 of Cups is very interesting too, because if on this spiritual journey that you're on, okay, doing what your soul is sort of leading you, urging you, pushing you to do, guiding you toward. The ego has to know that it's not always going to be fun and games. It's not always going to be, sunshine, roses, unicorns, puppy dogs, and cotton candy, right? The Eight of Swords is sometimes we're going into a mysterious period where we're not sure what to expect. I'm not sure really how I feel about things, right? And in a way, it's kind of like as we sail our boat, we can enter those realms where the ego is like, should I be scared? Are things going to be really, really good? Is something going to jump out at me, right? We don't know really if this is a storm or if this is going to be a celebration. It's kind of a glass is half full, glass is half empty kind of thing. But as somebody pointed out in the comments recently, a glass that's half full of liquid, the other half is full of air, right? So to me, this is kind of like we're trying to balance our heart and our mind. We're trying to balance our need for joy, pleasure, and reward versus that the need for just like discipline and having the plan and sticking to the plan, right? It's saying this is where our life is taking us. This is our course of action. Even though, yes, I want good days, I want pleasure, I want rewards, I want to have fun, I want to be interested in the subject that I'm working on. Sometimes the ego's not going to feel all that interested in things, you know? If the path that you're on is always interesting and always fun and always joyous, always pleasant, is it even your path? Is it are you just watching a movie? Is it something, is it really yours? Anything that's worth doing will have days where the ego is saying, I'm bored, I'm not interested in this, there's no fun, there's no joy here right now, because the ego just wants to pursue pleasure, right? But we have here the attempt at balancing the thinking and the feeling, balancing the acknowledgement that this is the path that I'm going on. It's kind of like the mind is trying to keep the emotions in check and say, okay, yeah, I want to have fun, and I want to be interested, and I want to have a good time, but I know that life's not always going to be that way. Okay, so we're trying to balance perhaps the ego expectations, right, versus the reality of the path. Yeah. Anyway, let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down right here with our little sea turtle friend. And we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it should tie everything together and hopefully give us the confirmation that we're looking for at the end, yeah? If you have a prediction for that card, please put it in the comments down below. Now let's take a look around the room. A lot of major arcana, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a good amount, right? We've got fire, a little bit of water, a little bit of air, and you got our earth energies. Okay. So the earth energies right away, stunning, right? You are building your best life. Inside, you have this picture of what the life is that you want. This is who you are, where you are, what you're doing down the road. Okay. This is the life we're trying to build. It's wealth. It doesn't have to be physical wealth. It doesn't have to be financial stuff. I think it's part of it. This is building a life that is the container for everything, for all the joy, love, the deeper satisfaction, the spiritual joy, for everything that has meaning to us. We've got to build the structure for it. You can't have a bunch of, you can't have a big celebration if you don't have the venue. You got to know, where are we going to hold this thing? We can't have a whole bunch of water if there's no container to hold the water. So I feel like this is you building the life that you want and that you need. It's wealth, but not just physical or financial wealth. It's love, it's connection, it's family, it's harmony, it's mental and emotional balance. It is a spiritual and creative sort of richness. This is a life with meaning. This is your best life. And all the dimensions of that, all the complexity of that. And this is inside of you. This is under the surface. So this is the life you want. It's who you are and where you are and what you're doing. It's the best version of yourself and the absolute best life that you can imagine. And sometimes when we get the 10 of Pentacles, I'll ask you, I'll say, can you get out a sheet of paper? Get out a pencil. Draw a picture of your best life. You got your pets, your plants, your people. What else? What else is there, right? I feel like you've already done that. I feel like inside of you, in the back of your mind, or written in your heart or something, you know that life that you want. You know what has meaning for you. Is it more towards family? Is it more towards career stuff? Is it more you just want to have a spiritual life? You know, a religious experience? Like what's the important things? Maybe it's a top 10 list. What are the top 10 things that are most important to you in your life? If you had to answer the question, top 10 things, what's your best life? Survey says. Right? What are the top 10 answers for you? Not anybody else. Not what anybody else would say. We didn't survey, 100 people. This is you. We're just surveying you. Right? What's your top 10 for your just ideal life? I feel like this is already written inside of you. And that's confirmed also with our Knight of Wands, fire on fire, and this is a 10 of Pentacles. It's earth and earth. This is as dense of an earth as we can get. This is as fiery a fire as we can get. So you have this spiritual electrical circuit of creation that I love to talk about on this channel. It's my absolute favorite. It's fire to earth. This is the art and science of manifestation. Okay? This is heaven to earth. It's impulse to action, impulse to behavior, will to action, inspiration to implementation. Right? Above to below, heaven to earth. It's the spiritual electrical circuit of creation. And what's the conductor of that electricity? Right? What's the wire that connects the fire to the earth? That connects the mechanical world to the power source, right? Well, it's the human heart and mind. Right? You start with fire at the top. You got to go through the water and the air, and then you get to the earth in the hierarchy of the elements. So it's the human psyche that has to conduct that electricity. What's the human psyche? What's the conductor? What's the magician? So this reading is you becoming the very best magician that you can be. And what we're trying to do is learn our lesson from the star card, that energy that shows us the things that ego doesn't want to look at, shows us our buttons, shows us our knots of karma, so that we can work on those things, so that we can then project this light, transmit that divine light outward into our life, and we become a clear channel of transmission. We become the magician, right? The mystery card. Fingers crossed, that's the magician. And of course, the magician card represents the human psyche, represents the nervous system, the brain, our interface with the world. It represents how we are projecting our energy out, okay? And the star is kind of like your true self, your spiritual energy, your spiritual self that is trying to show you what you need to look at in order to make that happen. Yeah. So that is that pure spiritual source. And the High Priestess is your intuition. Okay. Guiding our impulses up here. This is your conscious actions. This is your unconscious will, the desire. This is what I want in life, right? And this is what I'm doing in life, right? Are they in harmony? They didn't always used to be. Okay. The Nine of Swords is when our external actions, our behaviors, what we're projecting out to the world is not in harmony with our spiritual reality. For some reason, I'm doing things that seem to be contradictory to what I actually want in life. Like, what the heck? Why would I do that, Well, a whole lot of reasons. But the idea is that's the Nine of Swords. So when the Nine of Swords is in between these two, well, there's an incongruence now between what you're doing and what you want to have in your life. This, thank the heavens, is behind you. Okay, this is yesterday's energy. What we want to replace that with, of course, is a Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is the card of happiness. Happiness is the result, the spontaneous occurrence of happiness when our choices, decisions, our actions, our behaviors, the impulses, right, are in harmony with our internal reality. So there is that congruence between the fire and the earth. The material manifestation that you are striving for and the things that you're actually doing, right? The actions, the activities of your life. And so now we're being guided by our intuition so that we can replace this outgoing Nine of Swords, which is pain, this is anxiety, this is the opposite of happiness, right? This is a feeling of just misery, of anxiety, lamentation, losing sleep at night. Something's wrong. I just feel at odds with myself. I feel at odds with the world. My magic isn't working. Something isn't right, you know? So we're pulling our hair out. We're not sleeping, we're not eating, we're not doing it. You know, it's bad news. This is bad news bears. There's a lot of pain. Okay? And this is behind you. Because I think now we're looking at things from a different perspective. We're learning to trust in that wisdom guiding us from inside of ourselves. Coming from our true self, this is the intuition. It's a message from the divine in your life that's telling you what to do, right? This is the builder. How to be your very best self so that your actions can be in harmony with your true will, desire, deepest soul, the vision of your best life, the picture of your best life. This is you building that. This, I don't know what we were building. Maybe we thought we were building this, but for some reason we had more pain than we would expect. We had this it was a serious discord. But I think this is on its way out. And it's giving way to, for one, the light showing us what's going on inside. What have we been clinging to? What habits, what patterns have we been repeating in our lives that are not in harmony with the life that we're supposed to be building, you know? So we're moving further away from the incorrect, and we're moving toward building the life, becoming our best self and applying our energy in the right way so that we can be manifestors, that we can manifest the life that we want, that we deserve, that is meant for us, and what our vision of our best life is. Following the intuition, okay? Trying not to follow these repeating patterns of behavior, of thoughts and feelings, getting ourselves just into the same kind of bad relationships over and over and over again, making the same kind of choices again. When we're doing anything, when we're responding to life in a particular way, when we're behaving, when we're acting, when we're releasing energy like this, right? Some kind of action is taking place. We have to ask ourselves, why? Why am I making that decision? What is that decision or choice? What is that expression of my energy? What is that transmission of my energy in service to? Old, maladaptive, beliefs and values and emotions and patterns and history and behaviors, or am I in service to kind of my spirit, my best life, my destiny, my North Star? Because if I'm in service to my North Star and I'm following what I know deep in my soul to be the right path, following my intuition, following the inner guidance, there's a spontaneous kind of joy and happiness. There's a feeling of abundance. This might be a feeling that everything I'm doing is not working. I always say in my readings, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what this Ten of Pentacles is for you. What matters is how and why you're doing it. If you're doing it and you don't know why you're doing it, well, then I think you'll feel the incongruence and you'll feel a Nine of Swords. If you're doing it in service to some kind of complex or some kind of history or some kind of pattern, and we just, that's what the star is trying to reveal to us, then we can make a conscious effort to say, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to follow this North Star. I'm going to follow the inner guidance. And I'm going to start building my life in a very productive, very positive way. That's going to be in service to this life that I want. It's not about what you're doing, but why you're doing it. And I think the star's trying to show you that there was a time where you weren't doing things for the right reasons. So the things that you were doing had this 9 of Swords quality about them, and you felt there was an incongruence. Now, in the future position you're building, this is you as your best self, right? You are steadily building the life that you want to build. So for the mystery card, I would love to see the Magician or the Empress or the 9 of Cups. Okay? I feel like you're ready for major, major abundance. Because you're in alignment with your true self. You're becoming a better and better magician. And you are learning about taking your impulses, your behaviors, and orienting them toward the goals that you have for yourself in life. Following your North Star, following your intuition. Okay? And the builder is the one that shows up every day. The builder is the one that is reliable. You're showing up for yourself, true self. You're showing up for yourself every day, and you're saying, every day I'm going to do it, even when things get bad, even when I'm not feeling so good, even when I remember that 9 of Swords and I feel in a certain way about that, even as I go forward and I see that 8 of Cups up ahead and I'm not really sure what to expect, whether it's going to feel good or not or whatever. I'm showing up for myself. And maybe this is the idea that before we get our 9 of Cups, that happiness, right? That spontaneous joy of being in harmony and being in alignment with our true self. Maybe first we have to go through that 8 of Cups. And maybe that's kind of a phase of healing. You know, the further away we get from this, well, we're kind of getting out of the storm. We're not yet into the sunshine yet, but it's progress, right? Going from a 9 of that to an 8, and then maybe that's going to give way to the 9 of Cups. But let's talk about the path of the serpent. And of course, as we do this, I would like to remind you to please hit the subscribe button. These readings are totally free. It really helps out the channel, okay? I appreciate that. So the 4 of Wands is the completion of a cycle. The 4 of Wands is the recognition that, yeah, I've been repeating too many of the same things. I've been doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. No wonder my magic isn't working. No wonder I don't have the life that I want to have. So we're recognizing some of the, what I call them, the merry-go-rounds that we've been on, right? That we've been going around and around in this circle, doing the same kinds of things, or being in service to something that we didn't even know what it was, right? That's kind of, somebody who does not like confrontation. Somebody that grows up in a household where, confrontation or speaking your mind or showing your emotions was looked down upon, right? Or it was discouraged. Or it was just kind of frightening and kind of scary, right? Because of our family dynamics. As an adult, we may be the kind of person that's going to do anything we can to not rock the boat. We're going to do anything we can to not have a confrontation. Well, what are we in service to? Well, we're in service to that complex that was created back when we were kids. Because sometimes as an adult, I'm not saying conflict is good. I'm not saying that we need conflict. But if we're choosing to avoid conflict because we're in service to that past complex, or the complex that was created in the past, then we're not really showing up for ourselves. We're not really being a magician, right? It's a behavior that has been adapted that we're not conscious of. We keep doing the same thing because that's kind of what we learned way back when, and now that's just how I am, right? So it happens beneath the level of consciousness. We're trying to bring things to a conscious awareness, with the magician energy. So we have to first kind of make that realization and say, okay, I'm gonna get off this merry-go-round. I'm gonna stop avoiding things, And sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what are we avoiding? What is the star trying to show us that the ego doesn't want to look at? Because all of us are repeating a lot of these patterns in our lives. We don't even know, all of us, every single one of us. It's part of being human, And a lot of these repeating habits or patterns are very useful, right? It kind of becomes second nature, it becomes instinct, right? Well, I know I can be having a conversation with somebody and I can know how to kind of like not touch the hot stove, that sort of thing. I can kind of drive a car without having to think about each little muscle movement, it just becomes second nature. And those are very adaptive behaviors, and those are very good things, and we want those kinds of cycles to be running. But if there are other cycles that are preventing us from building the life we want, not showing up for ourselves and instead feeling a 9 of Swords, the incongruence, those are things we have to recognize. And for our own love of ourselves, for our own self-interest, we got to show up for ourselves. We got to say, I'm getting off that merry-go-round. That I realize that there are some patterns, habits, or complexes or tendencies that I'm repeating that I didn't even know I was doing it, but here I am. And those aren't serving me anymore. So we're putting an end to those, okay? Now, in the environment, you've got a Tower. And it's interesting with the Tower because the Tower is always disruptive. It's always things changing outside of ourselves that we can't control. That there's a red light on the road we're on. We can't control that, right? We can't control what other people do, what other cars are doing. We can respond. We can try to, avoid the collision. If we're paying attention, we can slow down so it doesn't disrupt our lives too much. But a Tower is always surprising. It's always disruptive, okay? We never expect it. And it always shakes our foundation, okay? It's an exclamation point of life. And these are things we don't really anticipate. We can't anticipate them, but we've got to understand how to deal with them when they arise, okay? And if we're running all these unconscious programs, when Tower events happen, we're just gonna one of our buttons are gonna get pushed, and we're gonna run that program. And that's what the star is trying to show us. The star is trying to show us, hey, when unexpected things happen in your life, how do you react? When there's something going on with you and your friend, or you and your coworker, or your boss, you and your romantic partner, when there's some issue, some tension, something is happening there. Do we avoid conflict? Do we shy away? Do we give in? Do we acquiesce? Do we just default, yell, and scream? Like, what is the button doing? It's different for all of us, You push a button, you might just, apologize, and slink away, right? That could be what the button does. Or it could be a button that it gets pushed and we're sort of running away from something, or whatever the case is. It's how we react to these challenges. Now I think that it's in the Tower moments of life. It is in those exclamation points that we really learn the most about ourselves. That's why there is the wide open eye and the wide open mouth here. It's kind of like you want to see what a person's really about. Surprise them, see how they react. Don't go, jumping out at your friends or anything. See how somebody reacts to something unexpected. If things are scripted and orchestrated, then we can appear just quite normal, quite fine. Everything's perfect. But when something unexpected happens, that's when those unconscious programs kick in. It's kind of like you accidentally touch the hot stove and you're going to pull your hand away. Okay, that's a very good reaction to an unexpected, event. And so we have to observe ourselves, because there's a lot of truth that's revealed. How people handle themselves, how we react and respond to the exclamation points in life. Okay, it really reveals a lot about ourselves. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of, that may be where you have been recently. I think that's part of our 9 of Swords. We realize that there have been some very unexpected, foundation-shaking events of life, and we see kind of how we've reacted. Now, the problem there is that we're going to be so, I can't believe I reacted that way. I don't know why I did that, or why I said that, or why I reacted that way, and I don't like that I did that, and so we feel bad about ourselves, I think the star and the high priestess, they don't want you to feel bad. They want you to recognize it and look at it and make a conscious decision that says, okay, I need to be aware of that. And I need to keep my eyes open and observe and keep observing how I'm doing that. So over the course of time, we can continue to build our life in the way we want to, build ourselves and build our personal reality. Okay? So the tower becomes very, very important. And the tower is in the environment. It's how we respond to things that are happening outside of our control. Because if we're controlling them, then it's scripted. I can control how I'm reacting to things. You know, I can. It's the persona that I'm wearing, and it's the role I'm playing, and it's all fine. But then, as soon as there's something kind of spontaneous that happens, that's when my true self comes out. That's when my complexes come to the surface. That's when all these unconscious programs start running. The buttons get pushed, and I'm activated in a certain way. The magician is the energy that can consciously be aware of that. Right, that can observe those kinds of functions and perhaps even begin to mold them into something more productive. Okay, the first step is to observe that. The High Priestess here, I should point out, is card number 2 of the tarot. What's card number 3? The Empress. Right, the High Priestess is always trying to lead you to your Empress life, and it may be uncomfortable. That 8 of Cups. It may feel like the Empress is trying, or the High Priestess is trying to drag you through the swamp. No, I feel like the High Priestess is trying to drag you out of the swamp. You know, but to get out of the swamp, you got to walk through the swamp to get out of it, right? So that's what our 8 of Cups is. It's kind of, we're on our way to that happiness, that congruence, that symmetry, that alignment, that harmony between our actions and our inner sort of spiritual reality and our will. And the problem is that it's a slow process. The Death card. I think the Death card 1 is forgiveness. Letting go of the past. Letting that 9 of Swords be in the rearview mirror. Whatever the Tower, 9 of Swords, event, whatever that is. I don't even want to go into too many possible details. Letting go of it. Forgiving ourselves, forgiving whoever we need to forgive so that we can let go of it and move forward. Reclaim that energy and use it to build the life, build the self that we're trying to build. This is also the trouble that the ego has with timing and expectations, you know, because the ego wants results and I want them now. I want to go to the gym, I want to lift 1 heavy weight, and I want to see my muscles bigger. I want it now. I want immediate results. It doesn't work that way. The Death card is slow and steady progress over the course of time, right? It's not in a hurry. Change happens slowly over time. Of course, we have the card of the abrupt change, the exclamation point. This is like a run-on sentence. This is the exclamation points that sometimes will split the sentences up into different thoughts, you know, different segments of time. And I think a lot of us anyway, we seem to segment our life as these certain events, right? The big tower events of our life, whether they're very positive and productive or not so much. The major events of our life is kind of how we mark time in our lives, right? Well, this was that one event. This was when I had my liver transplant. This is when, you know, whatever. This is when parents and stuff, you know, those things that happen in our life, you know. This is the moment I quit my job. I decided to do a YouTube channel. Those big events of our lives, those big things, those monumental occasions, these are the moments of life that we're going to tell our kids and our grandkids about. Okay? And that seems it punctuates the sentences, the kind of the story of our lives. Okay. But the issue with the ego is that it wants immediate results. But we realize that this process of building our life, building our truest self, and coming into that alignment and really feeling that happiness is a process, and it takes time. And so it's kind of like every time we repeat one of these old pre-programmed buttons or knots of karma, whatever you want to call them, every time we repeat that, we think, oh, I failed, I didn't do it. And we get stuck in that kind of self-loathing, right? we realize that we're probably going to make the mistake many, many times. We're going to keep making the mistake, but every time we do it, we're going to pay attention, and we're going to look, and we're going to try to use that as a way of waking up a little bit more. Okay, so we are slowly molding ourselves into the perfect magician, but it's a long process. Okay, but it's difficult for us to be okay with that. The Eight of Swords, like I said, is kind of the glass half full, glass half empty. We even see in the card, it's the bottom half of the card, you see the sea, the top half of the card, you see the the air. So it's the air and the water that are both not looking so good. It's still a little bit, it's like the storm's still lingering a little bit. It's not as bad as the Nine of Swords. So it's kind of like, yeah, the storm has pretty much left. The skies are still black. It's still pretty swampy here, but at least it's not raining anymore, you know? So now we can sort of get ourselves out of this swamp, follow our intuition, let the High Priestess guide us out of this this feeling, okay, and guide us into what's coming next. I really want to look at that mystery card, and I think we should do that now. But the Eight of Cups is us trying to balance our heart and our mind, trying to have reasonable expectations for what life is going to be in the next day, 2, 3, 5 days. Like, it's not saying that I just snap my fingers and suddenly life is good. Snap my fingers, suddenly life is happy, right? You can't just like snap out of it, you know? It's kind of like you're depressed and someone comes along and says, hey, just snap out of it. Why can't you just be happy? And I personally don't like that. I don't like people saying that. Because if it were that easy, if I could just snap my fingers and be happy, well then, don't you think I would have done that? You know? So we realize that it's a process, you know? And we're trying to manage our expectations. We're trying to be kind to ourselves. We're trying to heal ourselves, because that Nine of Swords is pretty painful. And it's still lingering in the background. So this is the process of we're pushing this back behind us, we're healing, we're going to continue to heal, and everything is going to be great. I want this card to be a card of healing. I want it to be a card of health. I want either a 9 or a 10 of Cups. I want an Empress. I want a Magician. If you have an idea, put it in the comments. The Four of Cups. That's good. To me, the Four of Cups is we've gotten out of the storm. Things are okay. We've parked our boat in a nice safe harbor. We lowered the anchor. We're checking it for holes. There's no holes in the boat. Sails, we're fixing the sails. Like we're back to a nice steady baseline, comfort, feeling okay. Right? Feeling okay. So this is, to me, this is a really good sign of healing. We're going from a 9 to an 8 of Cups, now to a 4 of Cups. Okay, the storm is gone. We're on shore. And we're just like, we're recovering from this thing, whatever this tower event was, whatever the Nine of Swords energy is for you. The High Priestess has led us out of the storm, out of the swamp, and we're here in dry land. Okay? And what we need to do, as demonstrated in this card, we need to accept this as a win. Right? We need to accept that right now, we're going to be very, very comfortable, very satisfied, very content with just getting away from that negative energy, getting away from that Nine of Swords, keeping it behind us, and realizing that we're safe, we're whole, we're healed, and we're going to catch our breath, and then we're going to continue on with our journey, and we're going to keep building, and it's going to be, we're going to get that kind of, we're going to make it real. We're going to get that major abundance, you know? But I think the first thing we have to do is, is get to this safe harbor. We got to get out of the storm, right? Get to the safe harbor, make the repairs, or just rest, let the storm pass, and then we got to get back out there on the open ocean. We got to sail again, okay? This is the storm shelter. We don't want to live permanently in the storm shelter. It's supposed to be a temporary stop, okay? But we need to take this as a win. We need to look at this as being a very necessary stop on the path toward our abundance and our healing and our happy life. Okay. Now we're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There's a link up top and there's a link down below. New readings for Taurus Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider hitting the subscribe button. These readings are totally free. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.